Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be checking out my April 2021 forecast. We'll be taking a look, of course, my forecast, which includes temperature, precipitation, severe weather, and also the overall forecast. We'll also take a look to some model data as well, and also check out the drought monitor, see how it's going. We'll also take a look at the SPC outlook and my thoughts on their forecast. So let's go ahead and get started with the models here. So this is the CFS model here. This is the 2-meter temperature anomalies, or you could say surface temperatures. And you can see here, the majority of the United States could at least see some above average temperatures really across most of the United States here, exceptions for the West Coast and even for portions of the Southeast. I'm also been hinting on that there could be a high pressure system sticking around across Dixie Alley. This would be a good thing if this is going to be correct. That'll keep weather pretty calm across Dixie Alley, also will keep things dry within that high pressure system, especially for the eastern side of all things here. It's going to keep things cool and dry on the eastern side of this high here across the southeast, and that's what's kind of leaning to average to possibly slightly below average temperatures. Meanwhile, on the northern and western end of this high here, it's pumping up warm air on kind of a southern southwesterly flow here. That's what's going to be leading to some of these above average temperatures across a lot of these areas in here. Kansas ball is basically the same thing. The only difference here is it's not as warm out along the East Coast as the CFS model, but it also shows slightly below average temperatures across along the West Coast, and generally most of the central United States to see the chance for some well above average temperatures there as well. So we got a pretty good similarity here between the models here for April, at least for 2-meter temperature anomalies here. We'll take a look to precipitation, and oh boy, looking pretty dry by the CFS model here. Pretty much nearly everybody could see some below average precipitation here for, yeah, again, nearly everybody here. And typically, with a setup here, when you got high pressure here, you have to watch this zoning out here for the chance for some above average precipitation. But with this drought going on out here, that's bringing in an elevated mix layer, and that's keeping a lot of these areas here pretty dry here. And that elevated mix layer will prevent showers or thunderstorms from developing. We'll go a little bit more depth in that in just a moment. But the only area that has above average precipitation is North Dakota, portions of North Dakota, and also for Montana as well, with the chance for some above average precipitation. Kansas falls even worse with the drought here. The only area that's got above average precipitation, Maine. That's it. Everybody else is either at average or below average. So it's really looking to be a pretty quiet month for severe weather. This is not a favorable severe weather setup by any means here, because your high that's going to be right here, it's a little bit too far to the west here. If it's a little further to the east, that can make some severe weather potential across some of these areas right in here. Now there will be at times where the high could be weaker, and then some of that severe weather may push a little further east here, or there could be at times here the elevated mix layer may not be as strong. You could get some activity going on out in here, but overall, it's not really looking to be a favorable severe weather setup, which is good news. We definitely need a break for severe weather, especially across the south here where they got hit really hard during March here as well. We'll be able to at least, wow, I am losing my words here during this video. But anyways, we're able to take a look into a little bit better depth here, and I at least have a better look into the low pressure systems and the high pressure systems. That's where I was trying to get to. And you can see here could be some above average MSLP or millibars here, so that kind of indicates high pressure could be right in here, keeping this area here mostly quiet here for precipitation wise, but there's a little bit of a range here with temperatures. The eastern side of that high could be cooler, the northern and western end could be warm. And yeah, pay attention to the plains here. Models have been hinting on very warm temperatures across the plains here. with the medium range guidance, with most been showing temperatures in the 80s to possibly low 90s. I think that's a little excessive for low 90s, but there could be a chance that a lot of these areas in here could see very warm temperatures. Now you can also see here we got some below average MSLP anomalies here. That could mean some low pressure systems could be in this region here, or it could be a little bit more common in here. Even in the case of northeastern United States, could get some of the activity as well. So kind of your average low track will probably be something like this here. So your low pressure systems will be stay pretty far to the north. And with this high pressure system right here, you got your moisture and very warm temperatures kind of going into portions in the Midwest here. And that would be the area to watch for any severe weather potential, which is basically possibly the Central Plains, Northern Plains, in the upper Midwest will probably be areas to watch for severe weather for April. But take that as a grain of salt. Things could change for the second half of the month. We could predict the first half of the month, but cannot predict the second half of the month. That's nearly impossible. So just take this as a grain of salt at this point here. You can even see for the desert southwest or most of California could also see some ridging as well. Kansas model, basically the same thing. The only difference here is that the high pressure system is expected to be, well, by the Kansas model, to be stronger, which you can see right here, bringing in pretty calm and dry conditions across a lot of these areas within the high pressure system. We also have some below average MSLP anomalies here across portions of the Rockies here, but with that elevated mix layer, that's going to keep some things dry here. So most of your lows could be somewhere in the northern Rockies and northern plains, and there may be a chance for severe weather somewhere in this zone in here. Basically, the central plains and the upper Midwest will be areas to watch for severe weather. Like I was talking about the elevated mix layer, let's check out the drought monitor here. And you can see here, look how dry it is out across the Rockies here. And there's actually a little bit of dent of the drought here across the northern Rockies here as well. But little pockets like this may put into effect here of the severe weather potential, especially this area in here, which can really affect that elevated mix layer in here to parts of the atmosphere. And those, and with drought like this here, that brings in the elevated mix layer over across the plains here. Sometimes it could get as far east as the portions of the Midwest, especially with this drought. Some of these pockets here can put to an effect of drought. Well, not the drought. The elevated mix layer, which can prevent showers and thunderstorms from developing across the central plains and also for the upper Midwest. So there's some uncertainties here with the severe weather side of things up here, but I'll probably keep these areas average for now, just in case that the elevated mix layer may not be as effective, or it could be really effective across those areas in there. So we may have to keep those areas a little bit more average for right now, but definitely got to keep an eye on that elevated mix layer because that can really determine your severe weather factor, mainly for the plains and portions in the Midwest. Out in the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, and the Deep South, the elevated mix layer does not matter. But Southern Texas though does have quite a bit of drought there too, so that actually may affect portions of Dixie Alley here. And that may keep severe weather a little bit more quiet, despite of having a ridge over the southeast here as well. So let's check out the April 2021 forecast. So we're going to start off with the temperatures here. And as you can see here, a lot of us is going to be expecting to see warmer temperatures, especially for the central United States here. You can see here as we kind of zoom in here, really the north central part of Texas, the central part of Oklahoma, into most of Kansas, the eastern half of Nebraska, southeastern South Dakota, Iowa, northern Missouri, southern Minnesota, the northwestern part of Illinois, and southwestern part of Wisconsin does have the chance to see some well above average temperatures, since this high pressure system right here will be pretty stubborn here, plus of that elevated mix layer, that's going to keep things very warm for a lot of these places in here. And that's something we need to watch for, is for some pretty warm temperatures, especially when you get a little further south here, which models have been indicating very warm temperatures could be coming in for some of these areas in here. I believe next week we'll see about that. Areas in the orange here, that's where we have above average temperatures. So that includes portions of the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, the Arlington region, and also for the eastern part of the Rockies as well. Then we got two areas of slightly above average. We got one for most of the Rockies. You got another one here from portions of the Deep South through the Appalachian Mountains up into the northeastern United States as well. Then EC means equal chances. There's a chance you can see slightly above average temperatures or even a chance for some slightly below average temperatures. Or you could say that's average. Either way, that kind of works for what that stands for. And then areas along the west coast here, that's where we do expect slightly below average temperatures here. And you can see here, it's legitimately for the west coast there, at least for the most part. So most of us in the United States probably staying either average or pretty warm. And we got pretty decent confidence with this as well, especially when we have a pretty substantial model agreement here. I've seen someone posted I think the European ensembles for April, and it shows nearly everybody in the United States to stay pretty dry, which I imagine the temperatures will probably be similar as well. But let's take a look into the precipitation side of things, and I think it's not going to be as dry as what the models are showing, but we can still see a good chunk of the United States to stay a little bit on the dry side of things. So we got two areas of below average precipitation. You got one for the Florida Peninsula, southeastern Georgia, and also for the east coast of South Carolina. We got another area for southeastern Idaho, the western half of Wyoming, the western half of Colorado, far northwestern New Mexico, far northeastern Arizona, and also for the northeastern part of Nevada, where we do expect below average precipitation. You guys may not be able to see a whole lot of rain for April. Now, for areas in the lighter brown, that's where we have slightly below average precipitation, which does include the mid Atlantic into portions of the Northeast, the Deep South, the Southern Plains, portions of the Central Plains, the Desert Southwest, all the way up into the mountains of Montana, pretty much as well. That's areas where we do have some slightly below average precipitation. The drought won't be as bad as areas in the below average region. You guys could possibly see some rain on some days, but generally it's looking to be staying dry. EC means equal chances, basically the same ways, like I said on the temperature forecast, but this is just the precipitation side of things. Then we got this one little area of slightly above average precipitation, which that is for North Dakota, most of Minnesota, a good chunk of Wisconsin, northeastern Iowa, and also for portions of Michigan as well. Alright, this is where some of these certainties come in, and I know some people are not going to be happy with this, at least weather winning wise. So this is the severe weather forecast, and you can see here, I have not put any area with the chance of slightly above average severe weather. I think a lot of areas could see slightly below average severe weather. Now, take this as a grain of salt anyways. But also to keep in mind, you can still see severe weather even if you're in the below average region or in the slightly below average region. You can see some severe weather. However, based off of average, you may not get to see a whole lot of severe weather compared to average. So just to keep in mind of that. Meanwhile, everybody else is just going to be equal chances, or you could say average. You can say that either way. But even check out the southeast coast there, or the Atlantic coast. A good chunk of Florida, the southeastern part of Georgia, most of the Carolinas into southeastern Virginia. You guys can actually see below average severe weather, where we have this high pressure system that'll be setting up somewhere right in here. That's going to keep this area here cool and dry, so that's going to make the air stay pretty stable and you may not get to see a whole lot of any severe weather. And keep in mind, you guys still have a chance for severe weather. It's just based off an average. So just to keep in mind of that. You guys may be asking, what is this right here? Well, this is kind of where we have the uncertainty area for severe weather. Like I said, with the elevated mix layer, can be a factor to some of these places in here. If the elevated mix layer is not as effective, there'll probably be a chance for slightly above average severe weather. If it's really effective, that can lead to some above average severe weather across some of those areas in there. So we do have some uncertainties within that area as well. Alright, let's check out the April 2021 overall forecast. We'll start from west to east. So basically, areas in the western part of the United States, it's going to be staying pretty cool. Most of Washington, Oregon, California, and the western part of Nevada looks to be staying pretty cool. That's going to be some pretty pleasant weather over there. Areas in the white, that's basically an average, which includes the western part of Montana, a good chunk of Idaho, eastern part of Nevada, into kind of around Death Valley down there as well. Then areas of the brown here, that's where we expect mild and dry conditions. It kind of says itself, and it's kind of the same way for a lot of these other areas as well. Areas in the orange here, which we actually have two different areas of orange, which is mild. You got one area for central and eastern Montana, southwestern North Dakota, a good chunk of South Dakota, central Nebraska. Then you got another area for the eastern half of Louisiana, most of Mississippi, the northwestern part of Alabama, the eastern half of Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, the western half of Tennessee and Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, and most of Michigan, and even for the east central part of Wisconsin as well. Areas in the green here, that's where it's going to be mild. It's also going to be wet at times as well, where we have a couple of systems here that could bring in some rain. So, yeah, it could be a little wet up there at times as well. And we cannot rule out the chance for maybe some those areas could see their first thunderstorms as well for some of those places in there, which does include most of North Dakota, the northeastern part of South Dakota, central and northern Minnesota, and the northwestern part of Wisconsin, and the western part of upper Michigan as well. Areas in the dark red, that's where we're going to be experiencing some hot and dry conditions. That's going to include eastern New Mexico, all of Texas and Oklahoma, most of Kansas, southeastern part of Colorado, southwestern part of Missouri, western Arkansas, and also for western Louisiana. Areas in the red, that's where we have the chance for some severe weather. Otherwise, it's going to be very warm. That's basically for Iowa, the southern part of Minnesota, eastern Nebraska, northeastern Kansas, the northern half of Missouri, the northern half of Illinois, and also for the southwestern part of Wisconsin as well. Last but not least, the yellow color, pretty comfortable weather. Pretty nice temperatures. It's going to be nice and mild. Pretty much it's going to be pretty comfortable. Not really humid, just comfortable weather in general, which is basically for the East Coast states, the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and Southeast. It's also going to be dry to the Southeast. Do not forget about that. It is going to be staying dry across the Southeast, even including portions of the Mid-Atlantic as well. I forgot to add that in. But overall, it's looking to be pretty comfortable weather as well. So that's basically my forecast here. We'll lastly take a look at the CPC forecast. And by the way, take this forecast as a grain of salt. There's always a good possibility this may bust. So just keep in mind of that. So let's take a look into the CPC outlook here for April. So this is their temperature outlook. They had the northwestern part of the United States in below average. Meanwhile, everybody else, it's either at average or above average. They actually have the better probability of above average temperatures across the Great Lakes, which I will say this, I highly agree with this forecast here. I think it's a pretty good forecast. I do agree. I think it's a little too warm for the southeastern part of the United States, especially where models are hinting on high pressure system over the south. I think the southeastern part of the United States will actually stay a little cooler than what the CPC is showing. Here's their precipitation outlook here. They have the chance for below average precipitation for pretty much for the Gulf Coast states, including portions of the Carolinas. And you also got another area for a good chunk of the Rockies, well, Central Rockies. And then you got above average region out across portions of North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and portions of Upper Michigan as well. Everybody else is average. I highly agree with this forecast as well. So really, overall, I really do agree with this forecast. In my opinion, here it's pretty similar to mine. So overall, I really do agree with their forecast. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit that like button. If you're ready to like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys questions. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.